Say it with me. Cow, 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 cow. They are so full of the cap, man.
I'm curious. Have you ever discovered that you were like the lowest paid employee at your place of employment? If so, what did you do and how did you handle it? I'll tell you about my experience in another video. Part 2. I learned that I was the lowest paid employee at a job I accepted in Beverly Hills. No, it was not the job with the weird job from my last video. It was actually a tuxedo shop. I found out I was the lowest paid through casual conversation with a coworker. That's why they don't want us talking about our wages at work. Anywho, so I had been there for about a year, and so I had asked my coworker, like, hey, you think I should go and ask for a raise? It's been a year. She said, yeah, because $10.50 an hour isn't really much to live off of in LA. And I was shocked. I was like, you make $10.50? She was like, yeah, don't you? I was like, no, they're paying me $7.25. She was in shock, and she was kind of upset for me. And I know you might be thinking, oh, she was probably the manager, or she's probably been there longer than you. Nope, we started at around the same time. So, armed with this new information, I decided to have a meeting with my manager and district manager. Like and follow for part 3. Welcome back to part 3. So, we set up the meeting, and I kind of just let them know, hey, I'm interested in putting my bid in, for a raise. Like, yeah, we're happy to have that discussion with you. You've been doing great around here. I was their top salesperson, and I had the best reviews. So I'm like, it shouldn't be a problem. They'll be happy to give me a raise. They were happy to give me a raise, but not to the amount that I was expecting. So they reviewed everything, and they're like, yeah, you know what? We'd be so happy to give you an increase to $8.50. So, of course, I was shocked. I just stared at them like, are you kidding? Especially when I know that there are people here making $10.50. So I said, you know what? I mean, I appreciate the offer, but I do believe that my skills warrant a larger increase. So they asked, okay, well, then what is it that you are looking for? I told them $10.50. They were like, well, you know what? I'm sorry, but we can't really justify that large of an increase from $7.25 to $10.50. As bad as I want to say, because I know y'all paying people more than me, I kept my composure. So I asked them, are there sales associates making more than $8.50? And so they kind of looked at each other, and the district manager said, well, we can't discuss what the other staff members' salaries are. That may be true. I mean, yeah, whatever. But still, like and follow for part 4. Welcome to part 4. Admittedly, I was crushed. I worked really hard, and I gave my all to that job. I was young, and so it was like my second job. So I was kind of used to that pay range. But then to discover that this company could pay me a lot more than what they were paying me, it was kind of unfair. So I told them that I couldn't accept that offer, and I wouldn't accept anything lower than $10.50. I told them that I am aware that my staff members are earning more than me, even though I'm your top salesperson. Well, they were earning more hourly, not commission-wise. That's beside the point. They said, we understand and we respect your stance on this, but please know that we will not be able to offer you more than $8.50 at this time. So again, I was crushed again. So I said, you know what? I'm sorry that we couldn't reach an understanding. And I walked out right then and there. I mean, I cried for like 3 days. And they were calling and leaving messages and all of that, but I didn't want nothing else to do with them. I couldn't. Interestingly enough, there was a little old lady who worked at the bridal store that was across the street from us. She would come in from time to time with her brides that were looking for tuxedos for the grooms. Like and follow for part 5. Welcome to part 5. So the little old lady came in with one of her brides and she was asking for me. And they informed her that I wasn't working there anymore. They still ended up getting their tuxedos from there. But the next day I ended up getting a call from the manager of that store. She wanted to offer me a position there at the bridal store. I learned that she recognized the work that I was doing, and she wanted to bring me on. I mean, I was happy because I emotionally quit the last job, so I needed work. And guess what amount she offered me? This lady offered me $12.50. So, of course, I didn't pass it up. I took the job, and I loved it there. Moral of the story, your hard work does not go unnoticed. All right, so here's part 5.5. So then you guys are probably wondering, well, how did she get your number? You quit, right? Oh, yeah, I quit. Well, apparently, the little old lady had a nice little chit-chat with my coworker that I told y'all about in the last video, where she, found out about my low wages. Apparently, they talked. And she said, you know what, do you have her number? I'll tell you, I know we joke on this every like, nah, your work friends ain't your friends. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you find a real one at work. A couple of my closest friends are like former work friends. Okay, anyway, let me focus. So homegirl from the job gave the little old lady my phone number. That's how they contacted me to get me in there for the new job. One fateful day, I had a bride who needed some tuxedos. And it was common for the tuxedo shop and the brides to kind of share business. So I knew at some point I was going to end up going back in there. So I show up with the bride, and guess who in there? The manager. My homegirl was in there too, but I ended up dealing with the manager. So he was like, hey, how are you doing? I was like, I'm good. We could really use your help around here. Have you thought about coming back? We'd be happy to give you $9 this time. Of course, I laughed on the inside. I'm like, are you kidding? You still don't want to give me the equal pay that everybody else is making? They was still being cheapskates. So I was like, no, I'm sorry. You know, I appreciate the offer, but I have to decline. I found another job. And he was like, oh, well, I'm curious. Why are you here if you found another job? This fool thought I was coming to ask for my job back. I was like, oh, no, I work across the street with the bridal company now. So that's why I'm here. They need some tuxedos. I swear the look on his face was priceless. Long story short, I asked for my homegirl so she could help us out with the tuxedos because I didn't want him to get no commission from our sale. So it was cool. And I lived happily ever after with the bridal store. Well, maybe for a couple of years. I ended up going to school and did something else, but yeah, for a couple of years. Hey, and as a bonus, just so you know, the company, they got sued, a class action lawsuit. And I ended up walking away with like $800 from that class action lawsuit. Moral of the story, they had to pay me anyway.